Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the very interesting week that was in pro wrestling. So for today, it's going to be NWA Power and AEW Dynamite. Like I said, very interesting week. As we'll get to that in 2 seconds. Before we do, grab your favorite beverage and let's get on with it. So we start with NWA Power. And we start with a very interesting Brian Idol versus Thrillbilly Silas Mason Hyde video, which I thought was awesome. And then we go right into their match, which very much surprised me. I thought this would be the main event. But it's the opening match, which I'll admit, not where I thought we would be, but it is for the NWA World Title, and it's a no DQ, no countout, anything goes match between Brian Idol, who now gave up the television title, taking on Thrillbilly Silas Mason. Now, the Thrillbilly did get an advantage a little early on, but Idol did still step up to him, including putting him through a table. He definitely used a bit more of his speed over Thrillbilly, although Thrillbilly did something very interesting on the outside. He went into the crowd, picked up a chair with a fan still in it. Thankfully, the fan did get off the chair. Big old chair shot to Idol. Near the end, it looked like Idol was about to put away Thrillbilly, but then Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor of the Southern Six come out. They attack Idol. Then they hold Idol's arms, kind of crucifix style. Thrillbilly goes for an attack. Idol moves. So he hits... I want to say he hits Morton, but I think he hit Taylor. Eventually, Idol does fight both of them off. But then as Kerry... Brian was about to go for his final attack. Carnage of, what's the name? BFT came out. Grabbed Brian Idol's ankle. Long enough for Thrillbilly to recover. Idol goes for a crossbody. Immediately gets caught. And then Thrillbilly hits the thrill ride to pick up the win and retain his title. Then the rest of the Southern Six get in the ring. Carnage just disappears. So, not sure what happened there. And they celebrate in the ring together. Although there is some accusatory points from Kerry Morton. So... we'll see what happens from there. Yeah, it definitely seems like NWA is on the verge of breaking up the Southern Six. Maybe at some point when they lose in the Crockett Cup, we'll finally see them go their separate ways. But for now, it does look like they are on kind of the same page. Honestly, match itself was fine. Overall, nothing to really write home about. Then we go backstage from a promo from newcomer Livayah. I'm not sure how to say this name. It's Livyah. So, yeah, I am not sure who this is. I guess I missed their debut. But she pretty much says, my debut, I got a shot at the TV title. I fell short in that, but now I get a shot at the Burke, the women's title. Natalia Markova, you're the champion these people deserve, but after tonight, I'll be the champion. So, some confident words from the challenger. We'll see what this goes. Then we get a very interesting promo from Tom Latimer, saying with the Crockett Cup underway, I need someone to partner up with. And I'm not going to be an idiot. I know exactly who I want to team with. Then El Dragon Neon, who is just a big old boy, comes in, says, we come from the same place. We go to die, which that's definitely a line. We aren't pretty, we destroy. The Latimer takes a look back at him, smiles, says, I like our odds. So, definitely an interesting team up. We'll see if it works out, because honestly, I like both these guys. Then we get this very interesting match, where the winner immediately gets a shot at the NWA National title if they win this match. It is the Gut Check Challenge for the #1 contendership for the national title. We got Hayden Backlund, who impressed last time he was out. Will Austin, another pretty interesting newcomer, a bit more of a high flyer. And Cristiano Argentino, who last time we saw him, he was getting beat up by Pretty Boy Smooth. And this match, honestly, this match was really good. Not a ton of high flying, but it was a nice mix of styles. Like Hayden Backlund doing more technical stuff like his dad did. Will Austin doing a bit more high flying. And then Argentino doing more comedy stuff. Definitely a very interesting back and forth. Then Hayden locks in the chicken wing on Cristiano for the submission win. Soon as that happens, Mike Mondo's music hits. He comes out with Aaron Stevens, makes a beeline to the ring, and we get this matchup with the national title on the line. And honestly, Hayden Backlund impressed me here. Like, he's definitely got some edges to smooth out a little bit, but otherwise, he hung in really, really well with Mike Mondo. Although, at times, he did dominate. But, eventually, after a gut check time, your winner, Mike Mondo. Which, I'm not sure who they're going to get to challenge him next, but I do hope it's someone a bit more on his level. So next up, we go back to the tattoo parlor. You got the country gentleman sitting there with, it's not KC, it's JC I want to talk about. He's sitting there getting his tattoo done. His family sitting next to him. Then on the other side, outside looking in, it's Carson Drake, who is a very weird character to be in here. Tom Latimer, who we saw last time with Natalia Markova, and Kobe Carino. And of course, people on the outside are just riffing on these guys. And then Kazana Boy shows off his tattoo. I think Latimer said something about it being, Joe. Then KC says, no, this is actually your mum. Then Joe says, it's legendary wrestler Doc Holliday. Then Latimer's basically like, oh, this is such a great show to watch. I could watch you guys all night. And then Joe's trying to shoo everybody away. Like, don't you have anywhere else to be? Get out of here. So, yeah, I'll admit, I do like these outside of the arena skits. They definitely add to the show. What's the point of these? Like, are we going to see Latimer and Nihon take on the Country Gentlemen at some point? Which, honestly, I wouldn't say no to that, but I don't really know how to put my finger on it. Anyway, so then we go backstage. We got Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox, with Murdoch asking Knox, alright, I'm ready to be in the Crockett Cup. Who do you have for me to be my partner? So Knoxy, if you didn't know, has been hurt for a little while. Looks like his arm, but I obviously I'm not a medical doctor. But we'll see what happens. So then Knox is hyping up this guy, saying he's a 10-footer, he's special, he's a giant, and he's bulletproof. And I'm thinking, oh, it's Blake Troop. Okay, that's an interesting team. And then Tyler Franks walks in. They both kind of look down at him. Knoxy then gets a big old shit-eating grin on his face, says, you get it? Murdoch kind of does a little double take, looks at Mike Knox, and says, yeah, I get it. So, I'm not sure what that's going to be about. Is Murdoch just going to try to run this solo, or is Franks in on something that we don't know? Honestly, either way, it's gonna be weird. So next up, we head to the ring for an interview, which I haven't had one of these in a little bit. Only time we ever see in-ring interviews these days is Kobe Carino in the NWA, and then I feel like Kenny Omega in AEW does a ton of in-ring interviews, which, fine. If that's their preference, that's fine. But I'd like to see more in-ring interviews. In front of a crowd, I feel like that's a bit more interesting than, somewhere in the bowels of the arena. Anyway, so it's with Pope and Mims, which definitely a little bit of an odd tag team, but I kind of dig them. So then, interviewer brings up their upcoming opponents, the Slime Balls. That gets a big pop, which then we hear from Pope saying, oh, this is a paid audience or what? Which kind of gets a little chuckle, but not much of a reaction. Pope continues, come out and say, textile cow and smile. I have no idea what he said there, but I can kind of understand what he's saying. Then Pope continues, I realize now that this isn't a smiling matter. If you really need to call us something, call us a success. But if you really look at us, between our accolades, we're the 7th seed in the Crockett Cup. Math ain't mathin'. We're former champions. Our accolades speak for themselves. And we're about to step in the ring with the balls of slime. Which, interesting nickname. Then Mims gets on the microphone and says, we're going to break bodies. We're in the business of breaking bodies. Pope, tell me how we break balls of slime. Then Pope takes a second, says, pause, which I absolutely agree. Pope continues, Mims and I are going to continue to get things done and go all the way in the Crockett Cup, starting with those balls of slime and ride their ass like the donkeys they are. Like, honestly, pause. That was the wildest promo I've ever heard out of the Pope. Like, that dude is wild. Anyway, this brings out the slime balls. They're wearing their normal gear, which I don't know what was up with their Uncle Sam gear last week, or like a couple weeks ago. Get in the ring saying, heck yeah. One of the, I think it was Chance, he sees Pope. He's pointing at him like he knows him. Like, then he turns to his partner and says, into the microphone, holy cow, that's Elijah Burke. That's the Pope. So, if you don't know, Pope did have a very brief run in the WWE in the late 2000s, early 2010s as Elijah Burke. And I can't believe NWA referenced it. Like, well done. Anyway, so slime balls continue on. We used to play you in the games. Yeah, me too. I liked using the Pope in the video games. They continue to hype up the Pope, saying, getting in the ring with a legend like you, and we're going to take you to Slime Ball City. So then the other slime ball gets on the mic, says, look, we got no beef with you. This is going to be a friendly match between us. We got nothing but respect for you. So the slime balls go, spit in their hands, extend their hands to Pope and Mims for a handshake. Pope and Mims just leave. Like, there's no shaking of the hands. And, yeah, it looks like Pope and Mims are taking this super serious. And, honestly, I think that's what I like about characters like these. The way they play off of each other. The way they interact. It's interesting. And I feel like this one is a little bit telling on the plan for the Crockett Cup. Personally, I think Pope and Mims should win. But that's just me. Anyway, next we go to Dr. Vic's abode. And honestly, I'm getting a little tired of this guy. But we do have a development. Because we see him on the phone with somebody. Seems like it's a hitman. Asking about some favor he has owed from somebody. Then something catches his eye. We'll get to that in a second. He's like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to call you back. Hangs up, we see him walk off screen, and then we go to an ad. So, yeah. This is going to be interesting. Because then we go to we come back from commercial break to a country gentleman promo saying how much they respect Trevor Murdoch. Man has done it all here in the NWA. But Franks, you cost my boys, this is Joe Kazana, winning the U.S. Tag Team titles back from the Slime Balls. You've done everything to hurt us and our family. But you're now bringing Murdoch to a slaughter. If you could pick anyone from the territories, it's not going to mix. So, yeah, definitely some fighting words from the Kazanas. We'll see how this little team works out, because there's definitely some history there. We then go to our semi-main event, and it's for the NWA Women's Tag Team titles. We got TVMA, so that's Tiffany Nieves, who I believe, if I remember correctly, has the Lucky 7 already done. So she could cash that in at any point. She's teaming with her monster Greta to take on the Hex. That's Allison Kay and Marty Bell. And, yeah, this was the match of kind of two halves. Each and every time Tiffany would feel like she's at disadvantage, she would tag in Greta to get an advantage. But then when Greta would go for pinfalls or whatever, Tiffany would tag back in. That one go on for a little bit. But eventually the Hex deal with Greta, get back in the ring, hits a Hex mark to the spot on Nieves to pick up the win and retain their titles. Overall, a very interesting match with a very different presence than I'm used to. But I did enjoy the heck out of it. This isn't your usual pure wrestling match, but it did get the job done for me. So next we go back to Dr. Vic's abode. Actually, before that happens, as the Hex are celebrating, Greta gets back in the ring. Looks like she's about to choke slam the Hex, but they bail out before anything more can happen. So, yeah, kind of, I don't want to say burying Greta, but I feel like NWA isn't doing her any favors. But we'll see what happens. So next little segment, we go back to Dr. Vic's abode. And sitting at the table, which is covered with presents and cake from a few weeks ago, are the Slime Balls, which that's definitely a little interesting. With them asking, oh, where's the party? Where is everybody? So then Dr. Vic sits down, kind of down the row from them a little bit, and he's got a drink in his hand. So one of the Slime Balls says, yeah, I'd be drinking too if I got embarrassed like that. But it's time for you to be a real man. And I wouldn't be taking what you just took. It's time for you to be a real man. You call yourself a man, you're gonna have to man up. In which I low-key kind of hate that sentiment. I don't know, define being a man for me. I mean, guy already has a schmeckle. I'm not going to call it what it really is, because that could get me in trouble. But yeah, I don't understand what this was supposed to be. I guess it's some old school booking that used to work in the NWA back in the day, but feels so out of place in today's wrestling. Anyway, then we go back to the tattoo shop. The Page sisters and their father walk into the tattoo parlor, and Kenzie comes in hot. Calling the Kazanas cheaters, calling them pieces of shit. And at that point, Kenzie tries going over the railing to get at Joe, but her family members pull her back and lead her out. And yeah, that was definitely an interesting segment, but it doesn't end there, because then Joe goes on a little tirade about a match he was supposed to have with Ric Flair in the old territory system. So that was definitely a weird story. But now we come to our main event of the evening, as it's for the NWA Women's title. Natalia Markova defends against Livia. And I'm going to say this wasn't a bad match overall, but it did get a little harebrained kind of near the end. But eventually, your winner, after a top rope drop kick, which that rarely ever finishes matches. So, good to see something a little bit different from Markova. Then post-match, both Markova and Lynch get attacked by TVMA post-match to end the show. So, yeah, definitely an interesting episode of Power. Nothing really from the Crockett Cup, which is just fine for now. But, yeah, building up to a really big event, that's always good. I'm ready to see what the Crockett Cup is all about. Excuse me. So, yeah, definitely going to be interesting. Overall, Power was very entertaining. I wouldn't say much to write home about, but like I said, still very entertaining. But then we finish up with a little AEW Dynamite, and this is the hottest start I think I've ever seen from a Dynamite, because we see Will Ospreay, he's walking in the parking lot, almost immediately gets jumped by not just Moxley, but the other Death Riders as well. Then we see Ospreay stumble back a bit. I guess a limo shows up, non-stretch limo, rolls on up behind Will Ospreay. Out of the driver's seat steps Alex Windsor. Then behind her, you have Caleb Newman, Amira Tozawa, I think his name is, and their third partner I can't think of the name of right now, I do apologize, aka Will Ospreay's old crew, the United Empire. And to everyone saying, oh, do we know who these guys are supposed to be? No! This is their introduction to the show. So let's just watch and give them a chance, huh? Anyway, so they all kind of meet here to here. They're facing off. They're ready to go. They have itchy trigger fingers. I forget who threw the first punch, but after that, everybody got involved and paired up. They brawl in the parking lot for a bit. Eventually, they do make it to the ring and ringside area, where they just beat the pudding out of one another. After that, Death Riders bail for a little bit. And then Ospreay gets a microphone, says, "You told me that you were in my head and that I'd give you an hour. And here we are. I got my United Empire back. So in tonight's main event, it's going to be the Undisputed Empire versus the Death Riders in a Canadian collision match." That was a great opening segment. Everyone did their jobs really well. And I can't wait to see what comes next. Wait. After that, we get a backstage promo from Mr. Don Callis, with him saying, "We got an update on Fletcher. He's going to be out for a while with a torn meniscus. So now the TNT title is up for grabs. And Tony Khan just told me it's going to be put up in a gauntlet match." I have also been talking to Tony Khan about a match between Proto Okada and the Young Bucks. Then he kind of addresses the crowd, saying they've been wanting Okada versus Takeshita for years. I keep getting asked when will they fight. But here's the thing. I like it when people don't get along. The Callis family calls the shots now. And the Callis family is going to destroy their opponents later tonight. Then we're going to hit this town like it's 1998. So, yeah, definitely very interesting promo. Which leads us into our first match of the evening, in which, yeah, let's not do overly long stuff like that anymore, AEW. That was a tad bit too much. Anyway, so we got, in our first match, Darby Allin, Bandito, and Jack Perry taking on members of the Don Callis family. So that's Takeshita, Mark Davis, and I don't believe it was Okada. I could go back. Hold on. Andrade. That's who it is. So, yeah, nice little back and forth match. At one point, we do see Andrade, who just tossed Bandito on the outside, go out, see the fan, and then go over, take a picture with her. Eventually, everyone gets back into the ring. Davis with a pile driver and then a big clothesline. And then Andrade with the DM DDT to pick up the win for the Callis family. And I'll say this, definitely an entertaining matchup. I do wish there was a little bit more to it. But post-match, you see other members of the Callis family come in, start just beating down on Jack Perry. But then Andrade then bails. The attack on Jack Perry continues for a little bit. Then the Young Bucks come out, make the save, super kick everybody. Then Lance Archer and a couple other members of the Callis family come out. But they all eat super kicks. Young Bucks were about to hit the BTE trigger on Mark Davis. They tried to do the TK driver to Takeshita, but Okada comes out, makes the save. After which Proto Okada attacked the Young Bucks. And then we get announced then the Rascals come out, even things up a bit. And that's pretty much it. Interesting segment for the opening of Dynamite. Very interesting first match. But I'm sure it'll come back around someday. Then we got a backstage interview, not with a wrestler, but with I want to say he's a trainer, I'm not sure. But it's Doc Sampson. He's talking about how Kenny Omega had diverticulitis, but he's had the surgery and he's ready to go. Only medical thing that can possibly be explained is MJF getting into Kenny Omega's head, but we shall see, and we shall see very soon. So, next match up, we got the TBS title on the line, as we got Queen Aminata going for the TBS title against Willow Nightingale. And the best way I can explain this match is it's New Japan-like. Like, the shots look real. Finishers obviously aren't finishers anymore, but I digress. It's definitely going to be interesting to see where this one goes. Again, such good back and forth. Aminata goes for an air raid crash, whiffs. Willow with the pounce, which I love that Willow uses the pounce. I've missed seeing that move. Hits the Babe with the powerbomb to pick up the win. So, yeah, I'm not exactly... Oh, and that entire match, you can see Hikaru Shida in the crowd just making faces. Post-match, you see Willow helping Aminata up, and they shake hands out of respect, which is very nice. Speaking of very nice, this vignette popped up, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And it's a MJF highlight reel, kind of hyping up his match for Omega, which they did show some of their last match from, I want to say it was like a year ago or so. Could be more. But, yeah, there's definitely some history between MJF and Kenny. Hopefully we do see a bit more of it coming soon. Next up, we got an in-ring Chris Jericho promo. And spoiler alert, he does not announce himself as AEW's general manager. He fully intends to wrestle. So, Jericho gets in the ring. After his entrance, he gets on the microphone saying, "Last week, when I came back, but tonight is when I signed my brand new contract." And then he goes on a little bit of a tirade about a space where he had his first ever wrestling match just down the road. Then he continues, "I'm going to help continue to stay here and help AEW grow. And while I've had some stinkers here and there, I know I can make it good. I'm going to help continue AEW to continue to grow. And while I had something similar to you guys, it was all part of the plan. I love wrestling, and I'm going to give you guys the best Jericho I can." And before I sign this, no, he has his contract in front of him. All I care about is helping AEW continue to grow. Now it's time to sign. Who wants me to see me sign this? Crowd gives a big pop. But before he can put pen to paper, out comes Ricochet and the Demand. They make it to the ring. Ricochet gets his own microphone and says, "Let the first words out of my mouth, be Canada freaking sucks. I didn't come all the way out here for that. I came to talk to you. I came out to hurt you would. And did you do us yourself a favor and just let these guys take over?" Jericho says, "I don't know any of this." Ricochet continues, "Why did you sign when you don't want to? I know you've been a little rusty, but all the signs say to take you to get checked out for your abs." And give credit to the greatest AEW champion of all time. And know you've been watching us at home. Everything is on the up. And all because of the rise of Ricochet. And you're only out here because I respect you. Anybody that wants you here, do everyone a favor. Get out of my ring and never come back. So Jericho starts to do that, stops getting out of the ring, and then says, "Before you get yourself hurt, wow, you really are bald. I respect you, Ricochet, but realize I don't give a shit what you think." So then Jericho kind of slams the contract down, signs it, and that'll do it. The match is on. Then it's revealed by Jericho that he has a very interesting clause in his contract that apparently he can choose anybody as his opponent for Dynasty. And you know what? I could choose either of your boys here. I could choose the vendor worker. But I got a big decision to make. Okay, I made it. So Jericho continues, "You know what happens when Chris Jericho needs an opponent for Dynasty?" Says a couple more things, then unleashes this catchphrase for the first time in a couple years. "You just made the list." So then he goes to leave, stops for a second, says, "I'll see you at Dynasty, Ricochet." Then we cut to a commercial break, very quick one. Come back for a full Don Callis family interview with Callis starting it off saying, "Andrade, you're going to beat Darby so bad at Dynasty that you're going to put him in the dirt. Then you're going to get your title shot. And with Kyle Hurt, we got a match for Dynasty. We're doing the Young Bucks versus Pro Okada, which, heck yeah, let's do that." So then, Callis says, we do have a little bit of a face-off with Takeshita and Okada. So then Callis gets in the way and says, I can't believe how selfish you are. You two need to work things out together and beat the stuffing out of the Young Bucks." So then Andrade speaks up saying, "Okay, but Don, you do realize that if we work together here, we don't get our shot at the AEW TNT title at Double or Nothing." So then Callis with the big revelation saying if Takeshita plays nice, he'll get his match with Okada at Double or Nothing, in which, hell yeah, plug that in, as I'll be in attendance. So then Takeshita and Okada go their separate ways. And Gallus says, "I love it when a plan comes together. They're going to be just like Jordan and Pippen, i.e. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, maybe the best 1-2 duo of all time." So next up, this match is actually going to be for who comes out number 1 in the Casino Gauntlet match, which is for the AEW TNT title. So we got Tommaso Ciampa taking on Mascara Dorado. And oh boy, this match was a whole lot of fun. I cannot recommend it more. The finish coming via big DDT and then a knee for your winner, Tommaso Ciampa. We then get a very weird backstage video of the Dogs, which that's Gabe Kidd, Clark Connors, and David Finlay, with Finlay taking the lead, saying, "We're not just here to make friends, we're here to collect more bodies. Mystico, Kevin, you guys got lucky on Collision that it was only 2 of us, but this coming weekend, it's 3. So then that is when Gabe Kidd rolls in, says, "Conglomeration, you got nobody left. You say you run that division, but Collision, we're coming for your bodies and your trios titles." And yeah, clear goals for these guys. I'm kind of thinking you have them win them. Now that's just me. Anyway, then we go to a Thekla interview saying, "If I hear any more about how Jamie Hayter is a former AEW Women's Champion, I'm gonna lose it. I'll mess you up. The only Hayter, the only reason you haven't touched the AEW title was because I was here. You might just be the dumbest bitch alive. I'm done being nice. Let's get toxic. So a clear goal from Thekla, the champion. Feud is picking up a little bit. Let's see how it finishes. So then FDR and Stokely come out with Dax pretty much saying, in that segment, they say they were glorified. No, this is for Cage and Cope. Actually, I missed a step. I'm sorry. I'm a little far ahead. We get Adam Copeland and Christian Cage come out, with Copeland saying jealousy and pettiness. That's what runs FTR right now. And you guys blew up rated FTR. And you call yourselves glorified henchmen to me. But here's the thing. I'm not going to shrink inside myself and hide. At Dynasty, we take the place at the top of the mountain as your AEW Tag Team Champions. And wherever FDR are, boys, I know you've been busy, but you're not the only one who pissed off, but the entire country of Canada, which, poignant. So, Stinger can, Stinger, damn it. Cage. No, this is Dax Harwood saying, you have to say you've been very naughty. So we paid a visit to your mother's. Actually, this is Christian Cage. And he continues saying, I paddled the boat, which I'm not sure I wrote that, but whatever. Oh, I see what it is. It's a sexual innuendo joke. Then he turns to Dax. He says, don't worry, I'm going to visit your mother next. And as one half of the tag team champions, this brings out FTR, who distract Cage and Cope long enough for Roppongi Vice to attack Cage and Cope from behind. FTR join in on the 4-on-2 beatdown. Got some big, interesting brawl, including a big old knee strike from, I believe it was Rocky in the corner. And yeah, they just beat down poor Cage, honestly. Because he was, at one point near the end of this segment, he was laying down. He was knocked out. One of his opponents put a chair around his arm. Like kind of his forearm here. Looked like he was about to stomp down. But he kind of gets the save from Stokely. Cage attempts a kill switch, but that gets blocked. Pushes him into Stokely, which, that's interesting. Running knee into the chair. And then a big stomp to the chair to finish the segment. So, yeah, it looks like Roppongi Vice is at least aligning themselves with FTR. I don't know if that means Callis is going to try to recruit FTR, but I think that could be kind of interesting. Anyway, then we see Darby Allin in some sort of backstage area cutting a promo saying, I've heard a lot of people saying Darby Allin didn't care about all this. And then Darby kind of looks up, says, I've never been more scared in my life. But I've got to be bold. I'm scared maybe I can't win the big one and be the World Heavyweight Champion. But I don't think you understand, MJF, what you think you got yourself into. I need this win more than anything. And I want you to be the world champion. I need this more than anyone can imagine. So, nice, interesting promo, I guess. We'll see if it leads anywhere. But now we move on to the main event match of the evening, as it's Chaos in Canada. Basically Anarchy in the Arena, but, specific to Canada. So we got the Death Riders being represented by Jon Moxley, Daniel Garcia, the Bastard Pack, and Claudio Castagnoli taking on the United Empire, being represented by Will Ospreay, former member, Caleb Newman, the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Akiyama Tozawa? I'm not really sure what his name is. And the fourth guy, who I'm not really sure of his name, Aaron Hanare, that's his name, who is a big old beast. And the interesting thing is, no tags needed. So this was just a big old continuation of what we had earlier in the night with these two teams. And yeah, they beat the heck out of each other. And also, like I said, I figured this would be the Anarchy in the Arena match between these two. But yeah, this was an excellent matchup. But the finish came after a whiff clothesline by Moxley. Then Ospreay hit the hidden blade through a table set up in the corner to pick up the win for his team. And as Death Riders were recovering, Ospreay attempts the Stormbreaker, but Claudio makes the save as he gets away. So, yeah, that was definitely a fun match and a nice introduction, at least for me, for Newman, Tozawa, and Hayan. Definitely an interesting trio. I'd like to see him back someday. Then we get a Kenny Omega highlight reel, which that was super cool. And then speaking of, we got Kenny Omega coming out for an interview, and he's dressed to the nines. He's in a nice suit. He looks like $1 million. So he comes out and says, "You may not believe me, but this is very nostalgic. This is the first time I've been here in a bit. And I was here introduced to your great independent wrestling scene. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I feel like we're more than just fans and a wrestler. We're family. And if we are friends, I gotta admit something. With MJF last week, I did lose my cool. But no, do you know something that almost ended things? Was it Ibushi? No. His mention of my diverticulitis, the thing that the announcers bring up 7 times a match. You say, MJF, cry me a river. At one point, it was nice having sympathy on my side, but that got old very quick. I'm looking to bring back the old Kenny Omega, and not things I never called myself the god of pro wrestling. You all did. And I appreciate every last sentiment. It felt like a motivator to even get this place started. And when we call this place where the best wrestle, the thing that makes you famous, MJF, is you flapping your gums. And when your opponents talk, they're bad. But everything you can do, I can do better. And I'm about to recreate a wrestling in my image. So I think it was you who should have been pissed off last week. You couldn't do what Kenny Omega did in Japan. Be the best bout machine. And while I was the one who lost my cool, I realized why. All of this, I thought it was on me to carry my legacy. But MJF, I was wrong. This isn't my responsibility alone. This is our legacy. Got a nice little reaction after a bit of quiet. Anyway, Kenny Omega continues saying, MJF, no matter where you are, you deserve a champion who wears the belt with pride. While I'm not the same Kenny Omega you faced years ago, it's proven to be I appreciate work more, and I need to protect what I have. So at Dynasty, that belt, I will take it from you and right the wrongs here you've made here. It'll be your last defense. As I bid the crowd aid you. At that point, MJF comes out. And I'd say at this point we were on like a 15-minute overrun, which is a little rare for AEW these days, but MJF starts off saying, I was listening to you back there, and I told you in 2026 you said you could beat me. You're good at talking yourself up. Lord knows you have to because you're scared shitless. And I can tell you right now, this will be your last shot at the top. Your clock is ticking, Kenny. But it's funny you brought up the last time we had a match. If you remember, I beat you. Because your excuse was you were only at 75% at the time. But now you, the doctors, your friends, you say you're at 100%. So what's going to be your excuse when I beat you this time? You're about to find out the hard way that when you bring the best version of yourself to a wrestling match, find out you're not on the level of the devil. Their God will fall and the devil will rise to the throne. Kenny Omega then kind of puts his hand on MJF's microphone. And he says, Max, I learn a little bit more about you every week, and it gets on your nerves. But before we get to the brawl that's coming, it would mean more to me to shake hands before we go do our show for the sake of everybody. What do you say? So Kenny extends his hand. MJF kind of throws away his microphone. He's conflicted. He kind of goes in for the handshake, but does the nope. Starts to walk off. Then he thinks about it for a second. He goes for the KO punch with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Kenny blocks it. Hits the V trigger. he kind of on the microphone says, "Oh, let me take this off of you." Kenny then takes the Dynamite Diamond ring, says, "I've studied you for a long time, Max. I know all your tricks. And at Dynasty, things go the way they continue are. The ending comes as me holding the AEW World title." Then Kenny does something a little odd, to me, at least. He puts the Dynamite Diamond ring back on MJF's chest and then walks off. So, honestly, very interesting episode of Dynamite. Did it really hype me up for the upcoming pay-per-view? Kind of not really, but I thought it was very, very good. The only thing that really got me was the length of the main event promo between Kenny and MJF. So I don't know if MJF missed a prompt or something. If he was supposed to go out there a little bit earlier to interrupt Kenny. But that went on for a little bit too long. And look, I don't mind an overrun. That's fine. But that stuff ending at 11:30 was a little bit much. And also, there was a lot of talking on this show. That is very rare to see something on the level of this. But it was overall entertaining. Did it really hype me up for the upcoming pay-per-view? Kind of. But let's face it, I was probably going to watch it anyway. But yeah, I definitely really enjoyed this. If you haven't checked it out yet, go give it a watch. It's a pretty entertaining episode. So, that's going to do it for me. I hope you all very much enjoyed. Coming Monday, I will not be covering TNA Impact, because last night I was hanging out with my family. So that takes a little bit of precedent for me. So I'm just going to be covering AEW Collision, and then maybe give you the results of AEW Dynasty, and then TNA Rebellion, which could easily do. And yeah, we'll see what goes on from there. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.